Good morning, everyone. Pastor Aaron here from the Robinson Free Methodist Church. We are continuing in our Pause with Pastor Aaron moment to spend about 5 minutes here looking at the beginning of 1 Timothy chapter 4. Paul is instructing Timothy, and he says, "The Spirit clearly says that in the last times some will abandon their faith and follow deceiving spirits and things taught by demons. Such teachings come through hypocritical liars whose consciences have been seared as with a hot iron." Let's just stop there for a minute today. We'll call that as far as we will go. Now, one of the things that you have to take into consideration is Paul is writing Timothy, and he's talking to Timothy not as just somebody who's out there doing life, but he's talking to Timothy as a young pastor leader within the church. And so this whole direction that we're going now in 1 Timothy chapter 4 is absolutely to the church. Please understand that. This is not to the world. This is to the church. And so what Paul is telling Timothy is that in these last days, there are going to be people who are in the church, people who worship with you, Timothy, who are going to be people who fall away from faith. Now, as a pastor, that is one of the most difficult things to watch, because you pour time and you pour investment and you pour yourself into this and you see the power of God work on people, and then people get so far and then they turn around and it's almost just like they quit, right? Well, Paul is letting Timothy be aware, in my view, this is my opinion, that Timothy, this is not your fault. Don't blame yourself. Timothy, this is the choice of the person. And this is an important component to our Christian life, something that we really need to understand. We need to understand that we are responsible for ourselves before God. We need to also understand, especially us fathers, that we are responsible in some ways for our families before God. And so with that in mind, we need to be out in front setting the example. Now, what's happening here is that Paul is telling Timothy, actually, let me go back for just a moment. So because of this, okay, we cannot take upon us the failure of other people if we are doing the job to be God's hands and feet. So, Paul's saying, there's going to be a time when people are going to fall away. Timothy, that's on them. That's not on you. Let's look a little bit further as he talks about these teachings that are taught by deceiving spirits and demons. They're following deceiving spirits. They're taking lessons taught to them by demons. What does that tell you? Well, that is a reminder of Ephesians 6, where Paul says that we're to put on the full armor of God that we can stand against the devil's schemes. Why do we put on the armor? Because if we don't wear it, if we're not aware that we are in a daily battle for our souls, we are going to be in a situation where one of these times we're going to go out without that armor and we're going to catch an arrow right between the shoulder blades. And it could kill us. In fact, I see it in many people's lives that things are going good, everything's good, but then they start to see a downward spiral and they catch that dart of the devil. Why? Because they didn't put on their armor. How do you put on the armor? Well, it starts first with this idea. God, I need you to protect me. We become so darn indifferent, ladies and gentlemen. We have to remember this means war. We are in war. And one of the primary places, I used to love the sign hung in many a youth pastor's office. It was a man on his knees, and the lettering said, "Make war on the floor." And that's important, okay? Such teachings come through hypocritical liars whose consciousness has been seared as with a hot iron. What is Timothy saying? These people will come out of your own church. So watch them. Watch for them. And and I'll close with this, when they speak up and speak unbiblically, speak louder than them. Correct them, because there are going to be people who are going to see this and they're going to want to be able to make a move towards that easy way of life. And you are the shepherd, brother. You have to be the one who says no. The last days, we're going to realize a demonic attack worse than any other point. It's going to be something that is going to try to get us distracted and off base, because the enemy will come in, will lull us to sleep, and then will attack us to win. We can't let that happen. Put on the full armor that you may stand in the evil day. God bless you.